Hello and welcome back if you've already seen any of my videos, or nice to meet you if you're here for the first time. I don't know if people are actually already coming back to my videos, but whatever. You may not be able to tell by the content that I've been putting out lately, but this channel was created with the purpose of sharing my reviews of books and talking about books. But because I've been very busy with my placements and with my writing, I kind of abandoned that. So I want to get back into the initial theme of the channel. So here I am with another book review and a cup of coffee because I'm filming this at 6 a.m. Because sometimes you have to fight with time to get things done. Honestly, I've only read a few books in October, partially because I was very busy with placements and everything and studying, but also because buying physical books in the UK is like ridiculously expensive, and I cannot read digital versions, so here's that. But one book that particularly memorable for me was Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. Heaven by Mieko Kawakami was definitely the highlight of this month. I say highlight and not favorite book because I cannot quite bring myself to describe this book as my favorite. At times I hoped that it would end sooner, but not because it's badly written, no, it is just a very heavy book on a very devastating topic, and it's written beautifully, and it's so poignant and realistic that it is quite heavy. Like, it literally sent shivers all over my body sometimes when I was reading it. The book is set in Japan in 1991 in a middle school. The narrator is a 14-year-old boy who has been severely bullied by his classmates for his lazy eye. Or at least that's what he thinks the reason for bullying is. He's not the only one in his class who's being bullied. A girl named Kojima goes through severe torment on a daily basis too. The two teenagers form this unexpected bond with each other, this friendship based on the experiences that they're going through, and they're finding consolation for everything that is happening to them in this friendship. But kind of friendship that was formed on the basis of such tragic and heavy and traumatic events actually survive. I will put the original description of the book on the screen here just so that I don't repeat myself. So before I delve too deep into discussing this book, I want to give two warnings. First, from this time code, I'm going to be giving spoilers. So if you want to read this book for the first time, not knowing anything about it, probably better not to watch this video. The second warning is this book discusses a variety of very triggering topics for some people, and I'm gonna put them on the screen. So if you believe that you could be it is triggering for you to hear something about these topics, it is also, I would advise you not to watch this video. So now let's move on with the review itself. So this entire story is written from the first point of view, the point of view of the narrator. And I really love that. I don't know if that was a conscious choice, but for me it only reinforced this theme of invisibility and hiding from the people's sight that is very prominent in the book. All the attention that the main character gets at school is just negative attention, it's just bullying, it's just torment. He developed this very strong desire to become invisible, not to be noticed by people, to have no attention rather than attention like that. I scanned the classroom, careful not to get caught, but it always felt like somebody noticed my reaction. I was overtaken by a strange anxiety, at a loss of how to act. This is something that I believe is very common in survivors of abuse and survivors of bullying, this desire to stay invisible rather than attract the wrong attention. And it creates this sense of anxiety in them. This is only worsened by the fact that his home life is described as very silent. His father is never home. He's always absent at work, and whenever he is, they don't really talk. His mother, well, she's actually his stepmother, but he calls her mother. She's also feels like this part of the background for him and doesn't really play much of a supportive role in his life. There is a description of how things go at their dinner table in the book that just encapsulates this silence perfectly. At the table, the TV did all the talking, a labor-saving device just like the dishwasher, freeing us from any obligation to converse. This is what I always thought when we were all together. So, his life pretty much revolves around the bullying that he experiences at school and sometimes outside of it. But one day, he starts receiving letters, and at first he thinks it is a cruel joke. But when he's invited to meet the author of the letters, he learns that the author is this girl, Kojima, from his class. What I really loved about this book is the importance of letters that Kojima and the narrator share, even when they're already friends. When they're already friends, they could just talk to each other, but they still choose to maintain this written mode of communication. These letters, they offer them an opportunity to openly express their complex feelings and discuss them without the pressure of the social interaction. Because remember, both of these kids are severely bullied by their classmates, so the only social experience that they have with children their age is all negative, it's all bullying. So they simply never learned how to have those social skills necessary to be able to openly talk about their feelings. And the letters provide them with an opportunity to do that. Nevertheless, the narrator, even with writing, he still struggles to openly write to Kojima, and he really struggles to think of something to write to her at first. But then, as their friendship develops, he feels more at ease writing to her openly about his feelings. This book is very philosophical, and it is, I believe, centered very much around nihilism, and I would even argue existentialism, which is an odd combination for a book that is set in middle school, and all these nihilistic monologues and thoughts come from middle schoolers. However, this combination works pretty well in my opinion. Philosophical theories here are not explored from the point of view of a conclusion, some end point thinking of someone who was trying to uncover the meaning of life. The author rather explores how different characters, in their pursuit of trying to make sense out of the torment that they're going through, trying to find meaning in it, how they lean into these different ways of philosophical thinking about life. For Kojima, for example, I believe that she leans into existentialism. When she's trying to make sense out of all the torment that is happening to her, she leans into embracing it, making sense of it, finding meaning in it, as if it is a testament of how her and the narrator, like it is a testament to their worth. This bullying somehow proves that her and the narrator understands something about this life that their classmates don't, and that it is their purpose to endure all of these experiences so that their classmates will one day understand that too and become better people. Meanwhile, a complete opposite to Kojima's way of thinking is Momose. He, in my opinion, represents a complete nihilism. He believes there is no point in having morals or beliefs because everything in life is meaningless. So all of the bullying that he inflicts on the main character, on the narrator, it's all meaningless to him. All the active and passive bullying has no purpose, no meaning. He feels no consequences because life in general is just meaningless for him. So for the narrator, I believe that he goes through a journey during the book. When we meet him at the beginning, he leans into what can be described as fatalistic nihilism. It is described as he embraces the meaningless of life, and he embraces all of the things that are happening. He admits that they have no meaning, that they serve no purpose, but his only choice is to deal with it and endure it. He believes that there is nothing he can do to change things, and he doesn't attempt to. When he meets Kojima, he is introduced to her way of thinking and looking at things through her perspective. He's very confused with how she's trying to find meaning and purpose in the bullying that they're experiencing. But he is even more confused when he is introduced to Momose's way of thinking, and all these conflicting thoughts and perspectives and philosophies, they all make him feel like there is just too much. Before I talk about how it all concludes, I just wanted to add one thing. There were parts of this book that I love this book, but there were parts that I believe were just unnecessary. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely agree that the harsh and brutal descriptions of bullying are very, very important, and the way that they are written very realistically is important to understand that the torment that the main characters are going through, how deeply it hurt them. But some elements, especially the one at the end of the book in the park, I think going that much into detail was a little unnecessary. I feel like it was added just for the shock value or just to give an outlet for logical ending of the story. I don't know. It just felt extra. It felt like it does not belong to the story. If if you read it, if you read it, you'll know what I mean. And alongside with that, there were also some elements to the book that I found a little questionable, like as to why they were added. So I do not agree with everything that is in the story, but overall, it is a very mm, poignant description of the experience that people who are bullied go through. And I'm adding it here because I didn't want to finish my review on a negative note. So let's move on. After being introduced to all of these perspectives on life and all of these philosophies, the author experiences a mental conflict. And almost parallel to that, he experiences a physical one too. He has a chance to fix his lazy eye. He's introduced to this chance, and this is something that he believed for the longest time has been the reason why he's bullying, why his life is the way it is. We do learn that this is not the reason, but for him, it is just this embodiment of all the negative experiences that he has had throughout his life. It symbolizes them. So to change or not to change it is basically a choice between leaving things as they are and just embracing them, or clinging on to the hope to make a change. The conflict of his perspective with Kojima's almost gets this physical manifestation because she believes he shouldn't do that. She believes that it would go against them embracing the bullying and it having a purpose. She feels like if he changes that, he does not understand anything and that he's not accepting himself the way he is. Ultimately, the book ends with him doing the procedure, and after the tragic events in the park, he's no longer friends with Kojima. However, the main transformation that he goes through is in his journey of trying to make sense of life and make sense of the bullying that he went through and all of the different perspectives and philosophies that he has been introduced to. He ends at the point when his way of thinking can be described as something called existential nihilism. I know that these things are normally contradictory to each other, but hear me out. I think this is exactly the way that the narrator ends up thinking about life. He still sees his existence as bleak and meaningless. He still sees life as bleak and meaningless. Mirroring his ability now to see the beauty in the world because his eye got fixed, he is now able to see a glimmer of hope in life because he was understood once. Through his friendship with Kojima and her understanding him to an extent, he now has a glimmer of hope for a change for his life, a glimmer of, he now can see a glimmer of hope to gain the purpose, even though he's not friends with Kojima anymore. This is something that this was the life-changing experience of his life. This book was a heavy read. This book was, I didn't cry. You know, there is a difference between books that make you cry and books that just leave this sense of unease after you finish them. This is exactly the book like that. I closed it, I think I finished reading it on the bus, and I don't know, it was a very odd feeling because I observed bullying from afar at school. Like I feel like most people did. You do end up seeing you end up seeing or hearing about it, but as a kid, I feel like for me it was something like I was so like I felt like it was in my place or I was scared, And it is something that I am definitely ashamed of, for sure, that I did not interfere. But it is a whole different story. I'm not gonna go too much into that. I talked to the person, it's whatever. Not going into that because it is personal and it's not just my personal. But yeah, it's like it makes you think. All books kind of make you think. What am I saying? It's just difficult to explain the feeling that you get after reading such books. It's like, why does this exist in the world? Why do people feel the need to do that? Do people who actually see no meaning in life, do they actually, why, if you don't see a meaning in life, why would you choose to bully someone, to inflict pain on someone? This is something that I still don't understand and I don't think I will ever understand. So this book was it was very interesting though. It's like you start seeing your high school and middle school experience a little bit differently. So this is the end of this book review. I believe it will be quite short, but the book itself is quite short. And I thought of going more into depth on the letters themselves and analyzing them. So if I have time, I will probably do that because I love literary analysis. But for now, yes, this is the end of this video. Thank you if you watched to this point. Subscribe to my channel. Maybe I will post more book reviews in the future. But okay, I'm not gonna spoiler. I have a good idea for the next video, but I'm not gonna say. So yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.